Alright, this video is about cellular respiration. And basically what cellular respiration is it takes one glucose and splits it, or makes it ATP. And there are 3 steps in cellular respiration. There's glycolysis, the citric acid cycle, and the electron transport chain. Glycolysis and the citric acid cycle both produce 2 ATP, so in all that's 4. And the electron transport chain produces 34 ATP, so in all everything produces 38 ATP just from one glucose. Glycolysis is basically breaks down glucose into this 3-carbon pyruvate molecule down here. And it is anaerobic, which means it does not require any oxygen. And what it is it takes glucose, 2 NAD+, 2 ATPs, 4 ADP, and 2 phosphate groups, and it creates 2 pyruvates, 2 NADHs, 2 ADPs, and 4 ATPs. Glucose is a 6-carbon molecule, and it starts out by using 2 ATP. It then splits the 6-carbon into 2 phosphate groups of 3-carbon molecules, and then it produces a pyruvate group down here, 2 pyruvate groups, and from that it produces 2 ATP and 1 NADH, and in all that's 4 ATP and 2 NADH. Now the citric acid cycle takes one pyruvate group, and it uses it in the citric acid cycle, but it can't do that without the transition step, which is right in between these lines. And it's not right there. And what it is, it takes this pyruvate and produces acetyl-CoA, which is a 2-carbon molecule. It oxidizes it, and it becomes it oxidizes it, and it takes out one of the carbons, and that carbon becomes CO2. And it also takes the NAD plus and oxidizes it and makes it NADH. And then it takes the acetyl-CoA, which is the 2-carbon molecule, and combines it with the oxaloacetic acid, which is this 4-carbon molecule right down here, and becomes the 6-carbon molecule citric acid. And the 6-carbon molecule then loses 2 of its carbons, just like it did back here with this pyruvate, and they become CO2. And then it comes back around in the cycle and does it all over again, because you have 4 carbons again. And along the way, it oxidizes NAD plus to become NADH, and does that again. It oxidizes ADP to become ATP, and it oxidizes FAD to become FADH2, and it oxidizes NAD plus to become NADH. And then it takes, from there, all of this right here, and this one, everything up here, is then used in the electron transport chain. And this doesn't just do this whole cycle once, it does it twice, because I was only explaining the one pyruvate group right here. Does it with this one up here too. Then we go on to the electron transport chain, and what that does is it takes the 10 NADH from the citric acid cycle and the 2 FADH2 from the citric acid cycle and produces 30 ATP for the NADH and 4 ATP for the FADH2. And for each NADH, it produces 3 ATP. And for each FADH2, it produces 2 ATP. So that's a total of 30, and then 4. And that's where you get the 34 ATP from the electron transport chain, and then you got the 2 from the glycolysis and the 2 from citric acid cycle, and that's where you get 38 ATP. The way the electron transport chain works is it takes the NADH and the FADH2 and its electrons, and it loses its electrons to go through right here, if you can see this line. And the electrons go through these proteins right here, and when they go through the proteins, they pump protons to the outer compartment, which is right here. And this is all occurring in the mitochondria. This is the outer membrane, this is the inner membrane, and this is the outer compartment. And the protons, after they get pumped out into the outer compartment from the proteins, they don't really want to be there, so they go to the ATP synthase, which is right here. And it uses the power of all the protons out here to create ATP.